Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban, 2004 movie, third part in the series, adapts my favorite book and ends up being my favorite of all the movies. Directed by Alfonso Cuarón, music One Last Time by John Williams, cast mostly the same as before with the addition of Gary Oldman, David Thewlis and Emma Thompson, and Timothy Spall, and of course Michael Gambon, who is replacing the late Richard Harris as Dumbledore. Story starts as usual during the holiday break. Harry causes mischief at home and ends up on the lam, fearing he might be kicked out of Hogwarts for illegal use of magic. Turns out people are just happy he's alive because a murderer named Sirius Black escaped the infamous prison of Azkaban and apparently is looking for Harry to kill him. And over the year, Harry and the gang have to piece together who Sirius is, who he was before, what exactly is his connection to Harry, and then, as always, save the day by the end. So one of the reasons why this book was always my favorite was that it has a great storyline. It fills in all of the backstory for Harry's father and his friends, gives a bit of context to the past. It introduces a bunch of important characters, including Sirius, who is possibly my favorite in the entire franchise, and has a time travel element that doesn't suck, and in fact makes complete and total sense when put together, at least in the context of this one adventure. I won't discuss the implications of time travel existing for the wider universe. And then on top of that, I love the adaptation because it's so very clear that this is a director working on another level. I mean, just from how the film looks and feels, you get the difference from the other movies. First of all, I love the camera work. Even though Cuarón apparently was asked to tone down his long take tendencies a little bit for this movie to be more consistent with the rest of the series, you still get some beautiful shots here. My favorite is probably a pair of mirror shots going through the clock mechanism at the beginning and at the end of the time travel sequence. That's just wonderfully done. Secondly, the production design choices. Hogwarts is a lot different, but better in my opinion. The architecture is more understandable. You get several locations featured multiple times, which help orient the audience. Okay, they're leaving this place, they're going to be in this place next. And it's clearly shot on location a lot more than the previous two movies as well. I loved the decision to be more loose with the clothing and not have every student wear the uniform every single time, which is honestly a bit silly and doesn't work so well in a movie. The uniforms, I mean. I love the robes. I love the tiny little world building details that are scattered throughout the film and make it feel completely lived in. All of those background elements. There's some examples. The wizards at the cauldron who is mixing in his cup without touching the spoon. The scene at the dormitory where all the boys are eating snacks that make you sound like animals. The weird creature at Hagrid's hut. The way the willow is used to signify the passage of time. The giant fucking axe of the ministry executioner, which is cartoonish but fun. The owner of the cauldron and the short scene of the cleaning lady there. I mean, there's just a lot going on in the film that is not significant to the plot, but helps you feel that this is a real world. And I also loved the design of the werewolf. I thought it was a great decision to have him be so hairless and kind of pathetic, but kind of also terrifying. And the transformation itself is a great example of body horror. I think the performances are still great. Loved the music, liked the storyline. I would still have some criticism here and there about things like Dumbledore's actions and his entire character, really. I do think there are some holes in the plot, like the Weasley twins not realizing for 2 years that their brother's rat is a human when they must have seen his name on the map. I do think Rowling's naming convention for the characters, I mean, it seemed so smart when I was 10 years old, but when you're an adult, it reaches all-time stupidity heights with Remus Lupin, who nobody knows is a werewolf somehow, and Sirius Black, who unexpectedly turns into a black dog. But from the things that matter, I only really have one serious point of criticism, and it's the omission of the Marauder's backstory. I only realized it at the end of the film, because as a book reader, you naturally fill in the gaps, but the movie actually never bothers to explain who these people were, how they became friends, what happened at school. which I think is an unforgivable omission, because this is such vital information, not just for the plot of this movie, but for the overall story of the series. So I suppose it's only credit to Cuarón and the movie's strength that even with such a glaring flaw, I still found it greatly entertaining. And yeah, years after, it still remains the strongest entry in the series for me.